If you've ever wanted to talk to someone but had no idea what to say, you need to learn the starter method. It's a list of conversation starters I use to talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime. I'm going to break it down and show you what to say after the starter so you can skip the awkward silence and spark a real connection. Now, this might sound a bit weird, but I'm actually going to start with the second letter because I think this is going to be a game changer for you. And that is T for this is random, but. You see, when you approach anyone, there's a good chance that they're going to be caught off guard. But when you say this is random, but you acknowledge and start to ease those feelings so that the person feels a lot more open and willing to chat with you. Some ways I've used this is random, but you seem familiar. Do we know each other? Or this is random, but you seem interesting and I just wanted to say hi. Another reason that I love this one is the flexibility. It can be used as a standalone opener by just saying this is random, but, and then literally anything that comes to mind. Or you can use it in front of any of the other conversation starters on this list to make them go 10 times smoother. Now back to the list. We're going to go back to the start for S, which stands for shared similarity. Here your goal is to find and then mention something that the two of you have in common so that they realize that you might be more familiar than they initially think. Some examples of this are, hey, we work in the same building, don't we? Or you're in this yoga class too, aren't you? Or aren't you friends with Ari? This works really well because when we know we have a similarity with somebody else, we just naturally feel closer to them. And that is the feeling you're going to give the other person. And by the way, the similarity doesn't have to be huge. It can be as small as liking the same music or being into the same hobby or even having a similar outfit on. You just want to use whatever you know about the person or that you can currently see to make a connection between the two of you and start that conversation. Next up is A, ask for advice. People love to give their opinion. It makes them feel valued. So when you ask for theirs, you can give them a positive feeling about the interaction right off the bat. Some examples are, hey, you seem like you have good taste. What would you recommend here? Or, can you give me a second opinion? Do you think I should get this one or this one? I think this works especially well in places like coffee shops, stores, restaurants, anywhere that you need to make a choice. Or you can even ask their opinion on something like your hair or your outfit. Just make sure when you get the advice, you actually do what they recommend, or you might hurt some feelings. Next up is R for read their body language. For this one, you're basically asking somebody how they're doing by making an educated guess based on their vibe and body language. So you could say things like, you seem like you're in a good mood. What's going on? Or tough day today, huh? And a really cool thing about these is it just dives straight into connection and really gets genuine answers and feelings out of the person. Because they're going to reply, yeah, it's not that great of a day, or yeah, I am in a great mood. And then you guys can start relating on a more emotional level, which is amazing for making a connection. Speaking of making observations, the next is T for take in the scene. For this, you're simply going to make a comment on things that the both of you are currently experiencing. Things you can see, taste, hear, smell, touch, or even emotionally experience. Some examples of these are, wow, it's really packed in here today, right? Or the art on the wall is so cool, don't you think? Or even that smells amazing, doesn't it? The key here is to just say your observation out loud and then include a little question, a little invitation for them to give their response. That's why I said right, or doesn't it? It's a nice and low stakes way to invite people to actually talk to you, and saying things out loud like this also helps you build your confidence. Next up is E, which stands for essential questions. So with this one, you're just going to ask questions that are simple and factual. These are things like asking for directions or for the time. Some examples of this might be, do you know where the nearest Starbucks is? Or even simply, do you know what time this place closes? I have to admit, this is probably my least favorite one on the list, but it always gives you a good option to start a conversation, even when any of the other starters on this list may not be coming to mind. And last, but certainly not least, is R for real compliments. And in this one, you're going to give a genuine compliment to the person about something you noticed about them. So you can say things like, that's a really cool outfit. You have a great sense of style. Or, I saw you give that speech. You're an amazing public speaker. As you might notice with my examples, I made the compliment to the person, not to the thing. I didn't say, oh, that's a cool shirt or that's a cool outfit and leave it there. I linked it back to the actual person's abilities and their skills, the things that they have control over. I really like this because it does two things really well. The first is that because you're giving a genuine compliment, it just makes the person feel good. It makes them feel valued and appreciated, and you're also going to feel a bit more connected with them. And the second thing is it gives you an easy way to keep the conversation going. Because a natural next question you can ask is, how did you become so good at that thing? How did you become such a good public speaker? How did you get such a good fashion sense? And it just really snowballs down the way from there. Just a warning, try your best to avoid complimenting sensitive things like the person's body. There are ways that you can phrase it respectfully, but 9 times out of 10, you are putting yourself at risk in potentially insulting the person. So stay away from that. And with that said, that completes the starter method. So next time you want to talk to someone, just remember starter. But after you say one of these starters, what do you even say next? I personally do 3 things. First, when they reply, I try to build off of their reply and also give them a bit of an understanding of why I asked that conversation starter. So for example, if I asked them if they worked in the same building as me and they said yes, I'd say something like, no way, I work here too. I'm right over in the marketing department. And that right there gives them the option to share a bit more about themselves and gives you a potential conversation topic to talk about. The next thing I do is to casually introduce myself. So I'd say, oh, by the way, I'm Isaiah. What's your name? This is a huge step because by introducing yourself, you literally no longer become a stranger because you've officially met. That makes them a lot more likely to want to connect and chat with you. And then usually I ask some more questions or share more of my thoughts to keep the conversation going. But maybe for you, holding the conversation is tricky. So if you check out this video right here, I'll give you some more tips on that. If you learned something new, let me know in the comments. But either way, I hope you have an amazing day. And above all else, I hope you keep connecting. Take care and good luck.